Guys, this is Pastor Henrik Mann at Sonoma Valley Community Church, and I'm so happy to be with Jan and Tim Arnsmeyer here at their home. And they're looking at the camera and at me and saying hello. But you know, the reason they're saying hello is because they know there's a lot of friends and family that are going to watch this video. And I'm here to talk with them about the victory of 58 years of marriage. Jan, can you believe that you've been married to this guy that long?
How did that happen?
Yeah.
58 years is a long time, and we've had a wonderful, it's a wild ride, I have to tell you. Tim told, we're living in our 30th residence, in our 10th state, in our third continent. And Tim told me before we got married, he said, honey, I cannot promise you wealth, but I can promise you'll not die of boredom. And he's been very faithful.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Tim, grab the mic and tell us why you've moved your wife around so much.
Oh, that's a good question. We met and married when I was in the military. And that took me to Korea during our first year of marriage.
2 weeks after.
2 weeks after we got married.
He left.
And I was in a strange outfit. It was called military intelligence, which is an oxymoron. And not only was I in that, but I was in a subset of that called the Special Operations Branch. And you know what our chief was called.
Yeah.
So I one time mentioned to my boss that I said about my wife coming over here, knowing that it was an unaccompanied tour. It was never going to happen. And he looked at me and he said, Arnsmeyer, I rank you. Do you see my wife around here? So he starts looking around, you know, under the bar stools and tables and everything. He says, does anybody see my wife around here? So I was good for at least 2 weeks. And then one day at noon, I was walking down a hallway. I saw him coming. We were going to cross, you know, paths right in the middle of the hallway. And I said, looking straight ahead, not at him, about my wife coming over here. And this time he did not have a sense of humor, and he started in on me. And I said, hey, wait. I said, if we could live on the Presbyterian Mission compound, would that change your thinking? And his eyes got big, and he looked at me, and he says, could you do that? I said, yeah. He said, how? I said, we've got missionary friends that live there, and they've got a spare room, and they would like for us to live there. And he said, get your wife over here.
So, Tim, that tells me that you are able to marry military intelligence with human love for your wife.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to have your wife grab that little piece of wood there.
Okay.
Show the audience what that is.
Oh, love.
Love. Okay. What do you think of when you think of being married to him and seeing that little sign?
That it portrays what the 58 years have been. Lots of love, lots of fun, loving each other and loving other people. We have people living in our home. We're still in contact with people that we've known for over 50 years. And
Yeah.
In fact, one couple that we met 50 plus years ago that live up in Redmond, Oregon right now, came down and visited us two months ago.
Yeah.
And
So
we've been in contact all the time.
Now, Jan, when you think about being married that long, I've heard it said that people who are, you know, coming from different families, that as they get older together, they grow together in their values and their tastes, though they can have maybe still some arguments that are lifelong.
once in a while.
But have you found that you've gotten more like Tim, or that Tim has gotten more like you?
I don't know. I think we both just came along together. As well, there's been a couple of times that the worst was in Germany. When we were there, we had lice, or no, not lice, fleas in our house. And Tim was, we were staying in the place where the other missionaries had been, and they left the cat, and we got rid of the cat, and the fleas stayed. So Tim is like 45 minutes away where he is doing his mission, and I'm there with a 3-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, and fleas.
And
I was told before we got to Germany, I was at a conference and a feminar. And
make sure that it comes across as
the
a feminar.
I know. Shh. and the lady said, that was speaking, said, never discourage your husband. So I really took that, and he said, that's ridiculous. And I said, no, that's fine. So he would leave, and
She thought I was a rebel.
I said,
Okay.
bye, honey, I'll be praying for you, bye. And I close the door, and I go, oh, I can't stand it anymore.
So
finally,
we didn't have
So
credit
Tim,
cards and
tell us
those days.
why you're in love with your child bride
I
here.
got to finish one thing.
Oh, you do?
One thing,
Okay.
yes. So one night he had a bunch of guys over for dinner, and I fed them, and they all took off for the base. And I'm washing the dishes, and cuss words started going through my head, and I thought, whoa! And one went through that I didn't know. And so I got down on my knees and said, Lord help! Something's awful happened. Tim got home about 10 minutes later. I finally told him how I was feeling, that everything was awful, and the next morning my waking thought was, what a wonderful husband I had.
Well, and we spent time in the Word and
Yeah,
prayer
we
and
did.
pride and
So the next week we found a place close to where he was serving, and everything, we got rid of the fleas.
So Tim, does that mean that the secret to your marriage is the closer you draw to Christ, the closer you've been to each other?
Yes.
well, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think that we have both gone through seasons of probably more time in the Word and less time in the Word. Just, and we can see what that does. We're having an awful lot of fun right now. We're reading through the Bible out loud together.
Wow.
And this is either our 8th or our 9th trip through.
Yeah.
And I had a friend from years ago when I was a paratrooper in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I'm still in contact with him, and he wrote recently, he said, Arnsmeyer, you don't mean that you're really reading every word in the Bible out loud together. And I said, yes, as a matter of fact,
Yes,
we
we
are.
Yes, we are.
And it's a fun way to read because you get to be looking at it and hearing it at the same time, and it slows you down and, makes you think.
Concentrate.
Yeah.
Well, there was some shaking there in the video. I don't know. Don't move.
Okay.
Don't move. So just stay there.
Don't move.
And hopefully we'll get it straightened out. But, there's shaking in people's marriages too.
Yes.
And you've had some shakes at different times. What have you found that has helped you face the challenging moments?
Having a close relationship with Jesus Christ, trying to be faithful in the Word, trying not to use sarcasm against each other, being willing to say I'm sorry, being willing to forgive, both receiving and accepting, accepting and issuing forgiveness is very important.
And the other thing, you told the young lady that's getting married this last week.
Oh, at the Swiss Hotel the other evening,
Don't go to the whole thing.
some people were on the street, found out we were having our 58th wedding anniversary, and she was going to be getting married in July, and she said, do you have any words of wisdom for us? Well, here's a total stranger off of the street. And I just said, don't compete with each other in anything but how to outlove each other. And
Wow.
she thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's good.
So, Jan, do you have any final thoughts for people who are listening about you being married to this lovely, imperfect man for 58 years?
Amen.
Well, I think part of that is putting up with each other if we do something stupid, which we can do. But just the joy, I think being thankful and gratitude has a whole lot to do with whether you face issues or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been one of the things we hang on to,
Yes.
gratitude.
Anything from your point of view, Tim?
I just think showing each other. I was raised in a home where my dad and mom were quite affectionate, showed it, and I learned a great deal about that from them. And I think just always telling Jan that I love her, and then trying to live life in such a way that she knows that that's true, and it's not just sort of a phrase or an expression.
Mm-hmm. Might I impose on you to just tell each other you love each other,
Oh, I love you.
but don't do it both at the same moment.
Okay.
Let's start with Jan telling her husband that she loves him.
Sweetheart, I love you so much, and I'm so thankful that God went out of his way to get us together in so many ways that they wouldn't understand. But anyway,
That is true.
it
That
was
is
wonderful.
true.
And I'm thankful for the 58 years.
Amen. So am I. And I am grateful to the Lord that He sent me to Oklahoma.
I know. Bless your heart. And I went there because I wanted to.
Okay.
The government sent me, but it was only after I met Jan that I quit.
So
complaining.
Tim, tell her you love her.
I love you
I love you, and I
from
know you
the
do.
bottom of my heart.
All right. And why don't you tell people that you want your marriage to be a blessing to them as well?
Well, I think we've
I trust that it will be.
Yeah, we've had several people live in our home throughout the years, and many of the reasons why they lived in our home was that they wanted to learn how to love their spouses. And so we had the privilege of kind of modeling that, and I think it's been a blessing to us.
Yes.
Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, with that, why don't we take a pause here,
All right.
and why don't you say goodbye to everybody who's
Goodbye.
watching?
Thank you for watching.
All right.